here from Sydney English Teacher and from the Successful English Learner by Sydney English Teacher, and I'm here live in your newsfeed with episode 11 of Nicole's Weekly Words. Thank you for joining me on my Facebook page, in my Facebook group, and over on my YouTube channel. It's wonderful to have you here, and I'm so happy to be teaching you 5 fantastic new words this week as part of episode 11. First of all, welcome back. I hope that you've really been enjoying Nicole's Weekly Words. I can't believe we've already got 10 episodes behind us. I think they've been lots of fun. I hope you have as well. With 5 words a week, that means we've already learnt 50 words, 10 weeks, 5 words, 50 words that you either didn't know before or never used before. So I'm really excited to continue this journey with you, and I thank you for joining me for part 2 for episode 11. Let's move forward with another 10 weeks of fantastic vocabulary learning. So I'm going to continue the weekly alphabet theme for all of you. We've already done A and B, so obviously we're going to move on to the letter C today, and I've got 5 fantastic words all beginning with the letter C. Are you ready to hear them? We've got concede, concur, cumbersome, couch potato, and colossal. So they're the words that we're going to be focusing on this week. If you have any questions or anything I say is not clear, please just ask down here in the comments section, and I'll do my very best to answer you. Alternatively, what I'll do is I'll comment and get back to you after our live session. So I think it's time for us to begin. Are you ready? You can grab a paper and a pen and take notes if you'd like, or you can just sit back, relax, and listen and absorb the information. And then after today's session, you can go and visit my Facebook group, The Successful English Learner by Sydney English Teacher, where you're able to download today's episode of Nicole's Weekly Words. I've got a worksheet there with all of the words, all of the meanings, and all of the example sentences, as well as room for you to take your own notes and to write your own sentences to practice. So yeah, enjoy, sit back, relax, absorb, practice, and come back later to download the worksheet. Let's begin. The first word today is concede. Concede. Excellent. So concede is obviously a verb, okay? And if you concede, it means that you admit that something is true after you first denied it, after you resisted it. So you might say, no, that's not true. I don't agree. And then with time, you realize, oh, I was wrong. So now I admit I was wrong. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. I made a mistake. It is true. I agree with that previous statement that I said was wrong. And yeah, I concede. It's this public way of showing that you made a mistake and you now agree with that particular point. So often people admit this or agree to this unwillingly. So that means that they're not the happiest about having been wrong. Not the happiest about now admitting they were wrong and that the other person or the other statement was right. So something, a particular fact, is actually true and you were wrong. That's concede. Does that make sense? Excellent. Have you ever conceded? They use this word a lot in politics, as you can imagine. A politician might disagree with something another politician says, and then they have to concede because it's actually correct what the other person has said. Let me give you some example sentences. The government conceded that the previous policy had been a disaster and committed to making improvements over the coming months. So there the government simply said, look, our policy was not right. It was a disaster. We are sorry. We admit it and we will change it. We will improve it. Second example sentence. He finally conceded that she was right and he had made a mistake. Wow, that's a really brave thing to do, It's really hard to admit we are wrong and we've made a mistake. So if we can publicly admit that, we concede. Wonderful. That's the first word. Now we have a second meaning of concede. And this is where you admit that you have lost a competition, that you can't win anymore, that you have absolutely no chance of winning, of coming first. So you give up. Often this is used in politics or in sport, I suppose, where you basically acknowledge or show that the opponent is better or that the opponent will win before the end of the game or before the end of the, election if it's politics. So basically before it's officially established that your opponent is the winner, you say, stop. I quit, I'm not going to continue, the other person is the winner today. And then you stop playing the game or you stop the competition or you stop counting votes. So that's basically concede, where you officially stop, in politics or sport, a competition or an election campaign and say, I have no chance to win. The other person is better. The other person should be the winner. So an example might be, she conceded even before the votes had been counted. So she just knew there was no way for her to win the election. Let me say that again. She conceded even before the votes were counted or had been counted because she just knew there was no way for her to win the election. So in that situation, instead of being publicly humiliated or embarrassed because she had not many votes or she knew she wouldn't get many votes, she decided, I quit, I stop, the other person is the winner, and then nobody will ever know how many votes the other person got and how little she got. Another example sentence, we concede that you're the better team and you deserve to win the match. Wow, that's a really brave thing to do, especially in sport, to admit that someone else is better and that they should win. So there you go, concede. 2 different meanings. I hope that you enjoyed them. Let's now have a look at the second word, which is concur. Concur. And again, 2 meanings for concur today. The first meaning of concur is if you have the same opinion as someone else. Basically, you agree with them or you approve of what they have said or done. So you concur with them or you concur that, blah, 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 blah. Concur with or concur that. So you agree, you have the same opinion as someone else. It's just I suppose, a more formal, a more academic way of saying agree. Easy. An example, the latest report concurs with previous results, therefore testing will not resume. Or the voters concurred that he should not be re-elected. There you go, concur. Second meaning there is if two or more events concur, okay, events, it means that they happen at the same time. They coincide. They happen simultaneously, you know. So there might be a concert and a party happening at the same time. You might be lucky. You've got an invitation to both. Help! What am I going to do? Which one will I choose? So if these two events concur, it means they happen at the same time. For example, his graduation ceremony concurred with the football grand final. Oh no! What's he going to do? Is he going to watch the football grand final or is he going to graduate? Easy answer. Next example, my daughter's dance recital concurs with my son's soccer match. What am I going to do? So, very difficult situation for a parent because their children are doing two things, sport and dancing, and they're happening at the same time. One child will always be upset because you can only be at one place. Yeah, you can't be at both places at the same time. So concur, great word there. Two different meanings. Let's move on to word number 3 for this week. And this is cumbersome. Cumbersome. Have you heard of that word before? Listen, if something is cumbersome, it's difficult to do. It's difficult to manage. And therefore, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It's a long and complicated process. So because something's very difficult to do and manage, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, it's cumbersome. So long, difficult, lots of effort. Cumbersome. An example would be, the application process for permanent residency is cumbersome. Are you sure you want to do it all on your own? Yeah, that's actually a really good point. You know, the application process is really cumbersome. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's really difficult. Great example, Nicole. Another example, we need to update the company's computer system because it's so old and cumbersome. Absolutely. Second meaning of cumbersome is if something is really large and really heavy, so it's difficult to wear or difficult to carry or difficult to handle or even to use. So an object is large and heavy and therefore it's difficult to use or wear or carry or handle. You know, a piano could be cumbersome when you're having to move house and move it from one location to another. You know, you might be in a stage play, you might be an actor or an actress and you have to wear a really heavy costume. That's cumbersome as well, getting it on and off and acting in it. Something else that might be cumbersome could be, let's think about it, something that you have to carry. Maybe you buy a new printer and it's really, really heavy, or a photocopier and it's really, really heavy, therefore difficult to carry and to move. It's cumbersome. An example might be, even though the coffee machine looks cumbersome, it's actually really easy to use. So in that situation, it's difficult to use. You know, it's large, it's heavy, it's difficult to use, or it looks difficult to use in this situation, but it's easy. Another example might be, Mum dressed me up in thick, cumbersome clothing whenever we went skiing because I'm sure she was worried that otherwise I'd have an accident. Yeah, absolutely. Typical mum. Wear the really thick ski outfit so that you don't break a bone if you fall over. Wonderful. So that's cumbersome. 2 different meanings there. Let's move on to word number 4, which is couch potato. That's an interesting one. Couch potato. It's got absolutely nothing to do with a potato, okay? But I love the imagery. I love the idea behind this word. It's basically a person who is quite lazy, okay? They don't do very much exercise, or they do no exercise at all. And they just sit around in the house, on the couch, on the sofa, watching a lot of TV and usually eating a lot of junk food. So they're just plopped on the sofa, on the couch like a potato, unable to move. Sounds like all of us during 2020, doesn't it? Having to stay at home in isolation, in quarantine, watching lots of TV, eating too much, putting on weight. I think we've all become couch potatoes. Yeah, absolutely. So an example sentence might be, don't be such a couch potato, get up and help. Or, my teenage son has become such a couch potato that I don't know what I can do to change him at all. Wow. Okay, so that was number 4. Now moving on to our final word for this week, which is colossal. Colossal. Have you heard of that before? So colossal is a great word. You know, it's another word for big, for large, but it means extremely large, really, really, really big, huge, massive. You know, it's another one of those synonyms, colossal. And we use this word when we're talking about buildings that are massive, about objects that are really, really, really big. Or maybe even an amount of something, you know, it might be an amount of money when it's a huge amount of money that you have to pay, or an amount of time, you know, you might have to spend a long time doing something. It could also be an amount of food, you know, you could eat a colossal amount of pizza. You know, 3 pizzas, that's a lot. And we could be using it to talk about size as well. So, you know, I don't know, a truck could be colossal, or an airplane perhaps. So extremely large, very, very, very big, a synonym for large or big. Some examples are, there's no way we can afford to buy this house. They're asking for a colossal amount of money. Yeah. Or going on a road trip with a newborn was a colossal mistake. In that situation, a huge mistake. Or, have you seen the new statue in the city? It's a colossal monument dedicated to the first explorers. So there you go. They are our words for this week, for episode 11. We've got concede, concur, cumbersome, my favorite, couch potato, and the final one, which is colossal. So there you go. Your job now is to go and practice all of those words. Use one word a day, try and use it as often as you can throughout the day, or use all 5 different words and their different meanings throughout the day. It's completely up to you, but the challenge this week is for you to try and use them. Maybe you already know them. That's okay. You might not use them. So your job is to use them or make an effort to use them throughout the week. You can post post-it notes around the house to remind yourself to use them. You can write some sentences to practice them. You can write the word of the day on your hand to remind yourself. You know, you can do lots of different things, but the main thing is that you practice. You can come back and watch this video again. The replay will be in my YouTube, on my YouTube channel, The Successful English Learner, in my Facebook group, The Successful English Learner by Sydney English Teacher, and on my Facebook page, Sydney English Teacher. So you can go back and watch this as often as you want, but please, if you're going to go back, also visit my Facebook group and download the worksheet, because everything you need to know is on that worksheet, and you can add your own notes and your own sentences to that as well. So there you go. That's this week. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm here to help at any time. Yeah, and I do hope that you come back again next week for episode 12, because I've got 5 great new words to share with you, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy learning them and using them next week. But this week, let's focus on the words beginning with C, on these 5 great words, and have lots of fun. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye.